Factor podcast. I am finally officially back for season 2, and I'm here with my co-host, Sarah Savard.
I'm so excited that you're back.
I know, it feels good to be back. I was a little under the weather the past couple of weeks, but we've had some great guests come on and great content. So today we are going to be talking about the value of eXp, our brokerage. And I'd like to maybe start, Sarah, with just explaining why we're talking about this. So I've been with you guys for the last 3 years from another large brokerage. And I think from the outside looking in, I wouldn't want to say that I didn't know the value of eXp, but it's just another brokerage in my mind. And so as I've come on and been with you guys at the Franklin team and see what you, your father, and your brother have been able to accomplish with other teams in recruiting, there's a huge underplayed value to eXp, and I think it's really catching on right now. Would you agree?
Yes. I think it's been catching on for quite some time. You know, we've been with eXp now for about to hit our 7th year, I believe. Wow. So it was 2018, and it was relatively unknown then. That was, I actually was on maternity leave then, so that was kind of scary. But it was... So there were 13,000 agents in the brokerage at that time. Now we have over 90,000. And it seemed like it was unheard of in Houston at the time.
I would agree.
Yeah. I mean, nobody knew what eXp was.
Because it's not a brick and mortar, too.
It's not a brick and mortar. So, like, consumers don't see it. The only way they really see it, and now, is because of signs. Yeah. Like, we are the fastest growing brokerage and have been. And I believe we're very well there now in Houston. I mean, there's still a lot of attraction to it, but I think the people who have shut it down potentially or didn't know much about it and then have like open-minded, but become more open-minded, are really shocked at what it provides. I mean, we've done a really good job, and we can talk about that in a minute, but of the people who have come and kind of some of their stories. But we literally came because we were at a brokerage before that for 30 plus years. My dad had been there, and he wasn't stuck on it. When we were approached about it, we learned, like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Let's look into other options, because we were going to potentially be independent and do our own thing. And this is like being independent. It's like doing it, but you have the backing of a brokerage in so many levels. But we actually joined, our main reason for joining was rev share. We thought that we had a big enough name that we could attract people, and like the idea of being incentivized to do that. So,
well, and I think that's huge, right? Whether you're a large branded team that's been around for 30, 40 years, or you're a single agent or new agent, like, always being mindful of, like, making sure your brand is with the best. And I think it's a very common conversation or a question that plays out as agents grow and get to the next level is this still the brokerage for me? Is my brokerage, is the business that I'm backing supporting me and creating enough value for me, right? I think it's a fair thing to say is that most agents probably think of this a couple times a year of, like, am I ready for a change? Am I not ready for a change? Am I hitting my goals? Am I not hitting my goals? Is it me? Is it my brokerage? What's missing here? And so it's just a good conversation, because I think it's very relevant in our history. Yes.
And I think over the years, you know, brokerages didn't do anything before. They didn't really, for years, like when I first joined, you know, got my license, it really wasn't. It was just, you put your license with somebody. Now, the amount of value eXp provides is crazy. What I would say, and we can talk about all the stuff they provide, I guess, too, if we want to get into that. But one of the things that I think was the largest thing and the biggest that it's hard to really, like, describe unless you're here is the collaboration. It is huge. What we've done in our 7 years and the growth that we've had, the systems we've put in place, the ideas, I mean, just stuff that we would have we at our other brokerage, we just did our own thing. You know, we went to a conference if there was an award that we were going to be receiving, and it wasn't really an exciting thing. This eXp, I mean, there's so much. You can get stock, you get all this other stuff, but I think the coolest thing isn't really like it's not a physical thing, it's collaboration. We all are constantly talking to our partners, either locally or nationally, which is really cool. It's really nice to have somebody who's in the industry or partners that are in the industry, maybe doing stuff a different way, but you get a different outlook. If we can just pick up the phone and call another agent in Washington and California, I mean, it's really powerful.
Yes. And before we get started, I want to go ahead and share these numbers so listeners can have an understanding of,
Yes.
I called it street cred, giving you the
Yes.
street cred. So since you guys have come to eXp going on 7 years, between you, your dad, and your brother, so the Franklin name, your total rev share organization has 1,108 agents or teams in your downline. And we'll get into a little bit. Maybe you can explain what downline means, what that looks like. The reason why I think this is so important is we're not just talking about you're going out and getting brand new agents, right? That have zero understanding of what the industry is. They're just starting. There is some of that out there. But what's really impressive about what you guys do is your production highlights and some of these big time agents and groups and teams on here. And I think you guys speak about this a lot. And I remember your dad from last season, he talked about this, who you surround yourself matters. And so to have people like the Mike Cedar group, the Monica Foster team, the Bridge group, Honey and Kathy Matthews coming to eXp, it's not just the Franklin family talking about, come join us, we have cool things over here. There must be something true of value that you guys have seen and been able to relay to other teams to say, hey, we can take your business to a whole nother level, right? Come join our brokerage. There is value here. Because I think about it from this way, like as an agent, you could hear that with new tech. You can hear that with new scripts. You can hear that with a new system, right? But until you actually see it play out, like you're never going to get people to convert and to do those types of things. And so you guys have done a really good job of that. But
so eXp's, to answer kind of your question, like what is the value, right? That like people are attracted to, I think can be answered in multiple ways depending on who the agent is. If it's a team, like a high producing team versus, a solo agent, I think this is the best brokerage for both, which a lot of people used to say that isn't the case, but I don't believe that's true. Okay.
Give me your reason for both.
So the reason the value add that eXp allows for big teams, high producing teams, is really the Icon Award. And the Icon Award is where essentially they're paying you to be here. So all the money that you pay in to eXp, so there's an 80-20 split up to $16,000 cap. Once you hit that $16,000 cap, you're obviously get 100% commission. Once you sell a certain amount of transactions, and it does depend on your area on the price point, once you hit a certain amount of gross commission income, you essentially no longer have to pay, right? So typically you're doing, it's about, I would say 30 transactions in Houston.
Okay.
In a year, you hit the Icon Award where they give you your $16,000 back by stock, right? So essentially, if you look at it this way, eXp is paying those team leaders to be at eXp because they're getting stock in the company back. Yes, it's not 16,000, but it is awarded stock, so they can't just go and sell it the next day, just like other companies who provide stock. But that's still real stock, right? And we've known people over the years that even an agent that was on our team that used that stock money, actually that was more purchase stock. So the Icon Award is huge, and it can be for teams and individuals. So if you're an individual and can do about 30 transactions, now if you're doing, it depends on your price point, but somewhere around that you get the money back. So we have so many agents. We have agents that we've convinced to come over and that we were like, we will personally, if you do what we say, we know you can hit this. And they do. And they're constantly earning that Icon Award. I mean, it's such a big,
and that's
big deal.
every year?
Every year.
Okay.
So it starts over every year, just like your cap starts over every year. So most brokerages, I would hope most have caps. We do know some local boutique ones that do not, but most of the larger brokerages do have a cap, but this is on top of a cap, right? Where they're actually giving you money back or stock back, right? So an individual can do that as well. I think there's a lot available for an individual agent or teams that have new agents as far as all the the broker support and all of the broker classes that are taught by Icon agents. So to give a little color on that, one of the ways to get a portion of your $16,000 back is a culture credit. And you have to actually teach a class, and it's, there's certain different things. You have to either be a mentor or teach a class. And if you think about the class aspect of it, when an agent, let's say you're at another brokerage and they have a class in person, the people who are usually teaching those are not usually top producers. They're salaried individuals who most likely aren't the high achieving producers, right?
They may have been like years ago, right?
Yes. And maybe they're antiquated systems or something that they don't really know. This is the actual high producers that come on, and they are teaching this course on how to work your sphere, how to handle leads, any kind of process or something that they want to give back to eXp agents is what they're doing, is what the class is. So that's really cool. That's been great for people. Obviously, our broker support, we've had several incidences with our brokers over the years that are amazing. I mean, they don't produce, which was a big thing. At our old brokerage, our brokers was producing, and we constantly were having to track them down and wait. That's a little bit of what I do think is a little snap of why the brokerage is amazing, but there's, definitely a lot more that we could talk about too.
When you guys started were you guys actually like recruited? Like, were y'all sought out by eXp? No. Okay. Y'all just started looking.
So we had been presented it and just kind of ignored it before. And then,
wait, real quick, because I think this is key. What had you guys kind of brush it off, right? Because I think...
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We brushed it off. I
think it was because of who it was that reached out, to be honest. Okay. They just sent over a PowerPoint kind of thing. And it was like, like, we're going to review it, right? Like, they didn't and nobody at corporate reached out, The way it actually came about was interesting. So Andrew had a coach at the time. The way he got that coach is actually kind of funny. So he was in a group called Next Level Agents on Facebook, and he went into that group and just said, hey, what CRM does everybody use? And at the time, we were using Top Producer, which is very, very antiquated. It'd be actually interesting to see it now compared to what we use now. But that wasn't that long ago, Anyway, and he ended up saying, we sell about this many homes and this is where we're at. And the admin of the page messaged Andrew and said, do you have a coach? Or maybe Andrew had asked about a coach. Anyway, we become linked up with them, and he's just having a normal coaching call and told him that we were considering looking elsewhere. We had talked to a couple, and then we were thinking, maybe independent. And they said, hold on a second, because they were moving to eXp. So they moved, and then they talked to us about it. And because of all of the network that we already kind of felt with them, even though they're not local, they're in Arizona. Fred and Kevin. Okay. Yes. So we were like, oh my gosh, well, it makes sense. Like, we should do that with them. And they were amazing and still are amazing. Like, you were on a call with them the other day.
Always providing value.
Yes. And they came from a brokerage that actually had a similar model than as eXp, where value was a big thing. We didn't come from that. So we just were shocked. Everything that they were able to do for us and help us, and still to this day. But it's the way the model was set up. It's the way Glenn Sanford, who is the founder of eXp, the way he thought. He wanted to grow eXp so much. And how could he incentivize the normal agent to do it without hiring a bunch of people? And this is, a genius idea. Yeah. So the way eXp incentivizes agents is what's called revenue share. So there is another brokerage that does what's called profit share, in that this is definitely different. This is based off the revenue. Different. Yes. And it's not. The way the profit share is done is the money is after all expenses paid, revenue share is based off the revenue that comes in. So you're essentially getting paid from the top versus the bottom. And so, but the really cool thing is he wanted it to be not just one level. Like I recruit Danielle and then that's it. How are we going to convince Danielle to then recruit? So he actually did it 7 layers down to where, and there's been some changes, but I'm just going to be very simple. Yeah. And if you want to learn more, definitely reach out and we can go over that with anybody that's interested. But so the numbers Danielle quoted earlier are from 7 levels down from us, that 1,100. And so it really incentivizes me to spread the word to Danielle to spread the word, and all these people. So do I personally know 1,100 people in our downline? No, but they are connected to us. So it's really powerful. It's what we call our collaboration group, and everybody wants to help because not only are we in the same group, but we're all shareholders in the company.
You're all benefiting.
We're all benefiting, but we're also all getting paid because if you sell real estate, you're also getting stock. So we're all owners. Back when we were at our old brokerage, if somebody was moving to Denver, Colorado and needed a realtor, I would just Google Denver. Well, now I want them to stay with eXp because we're all have the same systems. We all have the same values and we're all owners. So it does benefit me for them to go and use a realtor because that realtor either is getting some kind of stock or something.
Sure.
Potentially, right? I mean, you don't get it for every one you sell, but you get awarded stock in different ways, which we can also share about, if anyone's interested.
And I'm sitting here just thinking, even on my level, right? Like I don't have a 1,100 person downline like you. eXp is set up with so much value. I don't have to go sell it. There are so many times when I'm coaching and managing like our listing managers even, and they're interacting with co-op agents, I'm like, that is such an opportunity. Clearly they are not being supported well with their broker for systems, for processes, for training. Like, do they have a broker they can call right now? Mm-hmm. They don't even know half of these things. And I'm like, sell eXp, explain like when you come in, you're over at eXp, there's so many people to help. There's so many systems. And it kind of just speaks to exactly what you were saying. I was thinking about with eXp, we just had a meeting today and it's like, oh, well, with eXp, you get that for free. Or, oh, with eXp, you have that for free. And I've been
it's ever changing.
Even on the leadership team, how many times have we heard like eXp now is giving this system for free? And we're like, great, that just saves us a bunch of money because we have that system for our team. But eXp is always looking to evolve as well, based on what the producers are saying. And what I love about that is they're not fixed to a brick and mortar type of like P&L in a sense, to where they have to be very careful with, and maybe I'm
not. No, you're right. That's right.
They are doing what's best for the agents. And that's what I care about because I've heard this pushback prior to being at eXp. It's like, well, it's just a pyramid scheme. It's really not. I don't know if you've heard that.
Definitely, of course we've heard that. Yeah. So it's definitely not. So I think the people who say that are trying to like come up with something, but the reason eXp is able to offer, Danielle's kind of alluded to it, is there's no brick and mortar. So all of the expenses from rent, utilities, insurance, all of that is not a thing. We are a virtual company. So everything is online. We've got the cloud and everything is either an app or a cloud or a phone call, right? And so because of that, they're not spending all this money on these offices because let's be real, are people really walking in? Now we have our own office. We are now currently in our own office, but that's something that we pay for. So eXp doesn't have to pay that. And that's why they're able to set that money aside essentially and give it back for rev share. The pyramid thing is the downline, but that's just part of like, as long as those people are selling real estate and a portion of their money that goes to pay the cap is set aside to pay the agent. So it's very simple. If you look at it, it can be very confusing. And so I think people who aren't as open-minded maybe look at a negative aspect and try to correlate it with that, but it really is not. Otherwise, we would probably not be here. So we have said this for a long time. Like if there's something else out there that's better, we would look at it. And we have been approached by other brokerages trying to be the same thing, just tweaking it a little different, but there's just not something better out there. And I think it's pretty telling if you look at all the people who are with us, like you mentioned, that are just killing it from where they went to now even. I mean, the growth, I would love to maybe do that one time, is do like a study, like where were you at? I know one of the agents with us, which I'd love to get her on one time, Laura Bunk, she was giving her boutique brokerage. I mean, I can't even like disclose how much money it was. And when she heard a $16,000 cap, she was just shocked. And she had to figure out a way to make the move and make it sooner. So she can use that money that she was then paying to use it towards marketing or whatever. She ended up getting an office so she could have personalized service there.
I was going to ask you, because we're talking about you guys have recruited and helped a lot of other people make the move. And so as you're talking, I'm thinking about all of the objections that probably do come up and keep people stuck, right? And I do think there's a level of comfortability that people are like, that's a lot of effort. It's a lot to undergo, regardless if you have, one employee or you have a team of 50 agents. It doesn't matter. It's an uncomfortable move. I want to know, there's a brokerage that I'm thinking about that over the last so many years has been known to, and I think they've stopped this now because it wasn't sustainable from my understanding, but that was compensating with marketing dollars, right? So they may have a better split and be paying for marketing dollars. So if I'm an agent that I'm at another brokerage and I have 90-10 split, I'm hearing that and I'm going, eXp is 80-20, right? So eXp to me is not financially beneficial, Sarah. How do you overcome that? Because you may have some people on here that say, Sarah, I want to be better. Like I do want to have those conversations. I do want to recruit and bring agents over, but how do I go and I compete with another agent that's pulling in 90%?
Well, a lot of that is it's just of numbers, right? Like looking at the numbers. So a lot of those 90-10s are not capped. Okay. So you're paying, yes, you're getting 90%, but every deal you're going to be paying out, right? So if you're not doing as much transactions, then maybe it makes sense, right? But if you're doing, transactions more than, whatever the numbers look at, it makes sense. The issue with those is the marketing contracts that are signed up, and there will be lots of legal that get involved from friends of ours that we know that have had to leave and get attorneys involved to not have to pay those marketing dollars back and stuff. But it really just comes down to essentially there's stuff that can be done. Our brokerage did not recruit us and did not pay. We didn't get paid. I think that was a misconception in the beginning that we were recruited. I wish they did start recruiting people much later. We were not recruited. And occasionally we do get some things worked out with people where, like, let's say somebody just capped at their other brokerage and wants to move over, but they don't want to have to cap again. We can get some of that stuff potentially waived. So we talk to the brokerage. They're really big about working with people. There's an attraction area, like somebody who's focused on attraction versus somebody who's focused on production within our Texas team. So that's been great to have that support. And they're really big about wanting to grow, and they see that the momentum is there and it's not slowing down,
When you guys are identifying agents or team that might be a good fit for the brokerage, maybe you guys are even getting approached by other people, right, that are at different brokerages. Are you finding that there's a commonality of their frustrations or their interests that they're trying to I've heard blah, blah, blah about eXp, so that's why I want to talk to you? I guess I'm just interested to know, what are the commonalities of either what piques their interest about eXp that makes it such a good brokerage, or what are the frustrations that they're feeling with their current brokerage that allows that opportunity to have that conversation?
I think it does depend on who it is, right? Like if it's a team or an individual and where they're currently at. Okay. So if they're because there's so many different models out there, like you'll get a person from a boutique brokerage that doesn't have a cap on versus somebody that's at a discounted brokerage that wants to grow and they're having a hard time understanding to pay that 80-20 split, and they're just paying this a flat fee, but they're not getting any support.
Yeah.
They can't ever get answers when they have questions. And that's just that. They're not getting growth opportunities. They don't have like a coach or a partner to talk through stuff. So that tends to be a little bit more difficult, is to like, we can help you. We can help you do this. We can tell you what we've done. We can coach you. eXp has a mentorship program as well. I am a mentor where, an agent comes in that doesn't have the experience, they can get mentorship throughout their first transaction. So there's, such a plethora of stuff that it's like we sit down and we'll go over what is the pain point. It's kind of like when you go on a listing and they have had issues with a previous seller, with a previous listing agent. This is a seller you're sitting down with. And really, I'm like, okay, so what happened? Like, what's the issue? Let me look at the listing because it's likely overpriced most of the time. Or, had an issue with their agent. So we essentially find out what those pain points are and then describe how we can do things differently, or how we say that realtor was doing everything that can be done. You're priced right. It's X, Y, and Z. And this is how we're going to go about getting it done. Very similar way of talking about it when recruiting. Like, what is the issue? What are you wanting out of a brokerage? And then we tackle it that way.
They do an excellent job at resources, tools, training, brokerage.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I've been doing this for 11-ish years, and my previous broker was great. I have no poor things to say about her. Very knowledgeable, been in the industry for many, many years. It was one person though. And so one person for 300 plus agents, when time is of the essence. Now, it was pretty timely to get back to me, but the broker hotline that eXp has, I know that sounds so silly, Sarah, but when you're in production and when you are going, I have this situation, and then I really thought what you said is fabulous as well, is the collaboration piece, the groups, but that also speaks to you, Andrew, and your dad, of just the connection and relationship piece, because you guys are influencing the people that are coming into your group, because like-minded people like each other, and so you don't really find in our collaboration group people that are close-fisted, that are keep to myself. It's very, oh yeah, go connect with so-and-so. They do great. Oh my gosh, well, let me talk to da-da-da. They just tried this. You know what they said about training their new team? And it is so refreshing to hear that in this industry that can be so dog-eat-dog. And I know that there are agents out there that are struggling, that don't have support, that don't have marketing resources, that still use clip art, on their social media things. And it breaks my heart, because I can be a rock star agent and I don't have to be good at any of that. I just need to have the resources and the mind and the willingness to do it. And at eXp, you can do that. And so their onboarding, training, support, resources, tools, without being costly, right? And having major overhead, it's a really powerful thing to be. You can really evolve as the business evolves and as technology evolves, and AI has influenced a lot too. So
oh my gosh,
I see eXp really keeping up with the day and age, essentially.
Well, essentially eXp was started as a tech company. Glenn Savard was a tech guy. He figured out how to do leads and figured out a system to build around it, and then decided, okay, let's do a brokerage. So he's very tech driven, which is amazing, because let's be real, that's where the world's going. He's already on top of AI. He shares constantly about stuff. This guy is he's already a genius. I think I said that already, but he's shares it with everybody. Yeah. So that's a whole nother thing, just to have a leader that's super open to sharing his part of his brain with us, but I think you're right. I think it's super refreshing. eXp everybody is so willing to help. And it's like when I get a call, it's like a friend calling, it's a partner of ours. and like, how can we help? I just can't say how amazing it is when I know of agents elsewhere. I'm like, you don't even know what you are missing until you get here, to be honest.
I mean, I could be wrong, obviously, but I really don't know many agents that come and leave.
They don't. And you know why? Because they've got the stock in the company, right? But there's nothing else better. So a lot of them, they do have the stock. So, I mean, there's a decent amount of stock, but it's not like, I mean, people can walk away from that. It's not like it's huge amount, right? I mean, maybe there's but you have to stay. We probably should cut all of that, but they're not leaving because there's nothing else out there that's better.
Yeah.
I think that most people, we have independent brokerages that come over. So,
Wow.
I mean, because you know why? Because of the risk. There's so much risk and we have so much backing.
Is that why you guys have always decided to stay with
That's why we did. I'm like, why would we? This is like being our own brokerage because we have our own collaboration group. So when somebody says they're doing their own thing and they don't want to come over, I'm always kind of like, okay, well, let's see what happens because there are so as legal as everybody wants to get. Like, good luck. That's what obviously our brokerage wants to make sure, but they're not. You don't have the risk of it. So, and unfortunately, you just don't know when that's going to happen. We had Frank Gray and his team or his brokerage came over several years ago. And he was pretty open and public about like they had some pretty big lawsuits that, were going to not do well that happened. And it was his agents. And so I don't know all the details, but this is what he found this as being to solve this problem and protect him, protect the brokerage. And so a lot of them came over to our brokerage and are still here loving it and appreciate that, nobody wants like their brokerage to go under because of a lawsuit.
Yeah.
So eXp is always on top of that as well, on top of what's the latest changes with track and the state and all of that. They handled the commission changes I think they led the industry in those changes and like educating us what to do. They created their own documents that actually ended up getting adopted by some of Truck as well. So they were on top of it. And I mean, they've always just been a class act when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, I've always been very impressed while being here. So
yeah.
What advice would you give agents who are listening that are considering switching? What would you advise them to look at when they're evaluating their options?
So I think kind of hard. I mean, obviously we can talk like majority of what we've kind of discussed, but what we have done for people, especially teams that need to kind of see what makes sense is we'll do a pro forma to see, okay, this is what you're spending now versus what you would look like here, because it may seem very similar, but things are different at brokerages across. And so I would say reach out to us. We would be able to, guide you on any of that. And then just hearing about, Carrie and I are in the process of creating a document that is specific to our collaboration group. So it talks about all the resources, but then also eXp resources, but then all of what we do, because one of the big misconceptions was that we didn't have local events, that we were all just a cloud brokerage. And we, as you know, do lots of get-togethers and masterminds and where we bring in speakers as well. So we're going to share a lot of that information so we can start sharing that with potential agents that want to join and or for our downline to share with them. So we're hoping to get that done soon so we can start sharing that, but that will also have a lot of resources as well. But advice would be probably to reach out. I think we're always open to chat through it. Does everybody join every time? No. And a lot of times people don't join once we talk to them. There's Shaheen Nagave that is a friend of mine from college, or I met soon after at A&M, and I tried to talk to him years ago.
I didn't know that.
Yes, he had no interest, and he was an independent brokerage. And then he reached out a couple years later, and of course, wishes he had done it sooner. So,
and he's very successful, and he has his own downline, and
he loves eXp.
He's in the collaboration group, and
yes. And so I would say reach out. All of us would be happy to talk about our experience, and what all there is to offer, for sure.
Just to top that off too, I will say I always commend you, Andrew, and your dad, and Carrie, our president. No matter the size of the agent or the team, or like, it doesn't matter the name, you guys are always willing to share and connect and answer questions about eXp. So if you're listening to this podcast today and you have questions, or you want more information, or you're on the fence and you're going, that all sounds great, but just I physically don't know how, because you're feeling stuck, you're feeling comfortable, you're the fear of the unknown, right? Reach out to us, team@thefranklinteaminc.com today. We have weekly informationals that we would love for you to come to, attend, learn more about eXp, get face-to-face with our president, Carrie Bond. She'd be happy to answer any questions and remove some of that stress of the nerves and the fear around switching brokerages, and hopefully it be beneficial for you for making a move. So
I think eXp is just amazing, and definitely reach out any way we can. We'd love to be a resource even. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for joining. And don't forget to check out our show notes after today's episode. There you'll find our free resources that have so much to offer for you to grow your business.